Today's lesson is poisonous plants. What you eat can make you sick. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And I'm Candice.
And today we're talking about plants that are poisonous. Plants that could cause problems if you touch them or if you accidentally eat them. That's what poisonous means. Poisonous, of course, means it's got some kind of nasty chemicals or toxins or substance inside them that can cause trouble, again, if you touch them or if you accidentally eat them.
Yeah, so when we think about fruit and vegetables, we usually think, oh, fruit and vegetables are good for us, and most of them are, and they have great health benefits. But of course, some specific plants contain poisons that can be toxic to people when eaten in small or large quantities. And that's especially if those people have certain health conditions. So is your favorite fruit among these plants, Roger?
Well, actually, no. I'm not really a big fan of lychees. I'll eat them if somebody gives them to me. You know, I like peaches because they have pits in them. And, of course, my favorite fruit here in Taiwan is the mango and the dragon fruit, especially the one with the white meat. These other fruits mentioned in our lesson for today, lychees and stone fruits and star fruits, well, they're not particularly appetizing to me. Star fruit, that's a little sour for me. Some people like it, some people don't. Do you like star fruit?
Yes, I like the tart or the sour flavor, actually.
You do?
I like sweet fruit, but I do like some fruits that have a little bit more bite.
Well, as we're going to find out today, star fruit is a fruit that you need to be careful with, along with some stone fruits and along with lychees, which of course are quite common here in Taiwan. So let's get to it. Let's find out about these poisonous plants. Let's read through the first part of our lesson, and then we'll come back to talk about it.
Poisonous plants. What you eat can make you sick. The plants we eat regularly keep us healthy, but some also hide properties that can sicken or even kill us. Here are some potentially harmful foods that many people enjoy. Lychees. There's nothing like gorging on lychees on a hot summer day, but make sure the lychees you're eating are ripe. Unripe lychees contain a toxin that lowers blood sugar levels. For those who suffer from low blood sugar, eating unripe lychees may lead to brain inflammation or, in extreme cases, death.
大家好，第一部分我们看到单字 potentially， 这个字是副词，指可能的或是潜在的。举例来说 ，Spending a lot of time in the sun without wearing a hat is potentially harmful to the skin。在不戴帽子的情况下，长时间在阳光下晒太阳，可能对皮肤有害。也可以说 ，Jerry was careful to avoid the potentially dangerous situation。Jerry 小心翼翼地避免了潜在的危险情况。另外，补充这个字的形容词 potential，P-O-T-E-N-T-I-A-L， potential， 指可能的或是潜在的。例如 ，Janice interviewed several potential new employees。Janice 面谈了好几个可能的新员工。或者 ，The medicine label warned of potential side effects。这个药品标签警告潜在的副作用。接着我们看到动词 gorge， 这个字的意思是狼吞虎咽，像是 Vincent gorged himself on seafood at the buffet。Vincent 在自助餐厅大吃海鲜。或是 Brian gorged himself on appetizers at the party。Brian 在派对上大吃特吃开胃点心。
Okay, so again, we're talking about plants, and those, of course, are the green things that grow in the ground. Taiwan is a subtropical place, so there are lots of plants around, and we need to know about them. Some of them might be poisonous, and the plants we eat regularly keep us healthy, but some also hide properties that can sicken or even kill us. So every time we sit down to dinner, we have lots of vegetables, maybe some spinach, or some yam greens or whatever. And yes, indeed, they can keep us healthy, but sometimes these plants are a little dangerous, and we need to know when to eat them and how to cook them so that they will not sicken us. And here we've got the verb to sicken, which means something makes you sick. It makes you ill.
That's right. And the article goes on to talk about different fruits that are potentially harmful. So here are some potentially harmful foods that many people enjoy. So the word potentially just means that there is a possibility that they could cause harm or hurt you in some way. It doesn't mean that they are always harmful. They're not always dangerous. Depends on the circumstances.
Exactly. So they're potentially harmful, but not necessarily harmful all the time. And one example is lychees, which I believe are called lizhi in Chinese, and they're quite common here, although sometimes I get the lizhi and the longyan mixed up, confused sometimes, although I'm sure a lot of people here in Taiwan would say, oh, they're totally different. How can you confuse those two fruits? They're totally different, but yeah, sometimes I get them mixed up. But there's nothing like gorging on lychees on a hot summer day. So if you gorge on something, that means you eat that thing with great pleasure. You eat it fast, and you probably make a lot of noise when you do it. Oh, so tasty.
I don't know about you, Roger, but as a child, I used to gorge myself on watermelon in the summer.
Ooh.
I sometimes used to eat so much that I couldn't move for a while.
Wow.
So that's an example of gorging. We used to love watermelon. We used to eat it until we couldn't eat anymore.
It's that tasty, huh? Well, I like watermelon, but I don't think I could eat it like a glutton. But in any case, I suppose for you, there's nothing like gorging on watermelon on a hot summer day. And here in Taiwan, people enjoy their lychees on hot summer days as well. But make sure the lychees you're eating are ripe, which means they need to be mature enough to eat. They can't be too freshly picked, because if they're unripe, that means they could cause some problems.
Yes, that's right. Unripe lychees contain a toxin that lowers blood sugar levels. So for those who suffer from low blood sugar, eating unripe lychees may lead to brain inflammation or, in extreme cases, death.
Exactly. So, of course, blood sugar is the amount of sugar, or more accurately, glucose, in your blood. And if you're diabetic, this might sound really great because it will lower the blood sugar in your blood vessels. But I would talk to a doctor about that first. Don't go out and eat lychees just because you're diabetic or something like that. You need to do your research on that. But in any case, if the lychees are unripe, if they're still green maybe, then they will have a toxin that will lower the blood sugar in your blood vessels. Now, a toxin, of course, is a kind of chemical that is bad for human beings, and the adjective for this is toxic, which is similar to poisonous or venomous. Venomous is for animals, though, like snakes. Poisonous is for plants, and if it's toxic, it is poisonous as well, but that usually stresses the actual chemicals or the substances within something. In this particular case, we've got toxins or a toxin in lychees that are unripe, and it could lower your blood sugar level, and that's not good if you've got problems with that.
Right. A toxin is a poison that we find in plants and sometimes in animals. For example, I don't know if you're familiar with this mushroom. A mushroom called a toadstool contains toxins that can cause some serious illness and sometimes even death. And then, of course, in Japan, there's the popular sushi called fugu that also contains toxin. Well, the sushi doesn't contain a toxin. The fish that the sushi is cut from contains a certain venom that is poisonous. So for lychees, we should avoid eating unripe lychees. The ripe ones are fine, but the unripe lychees contain the toxin that could be lethal or could kill people that already have low blood sugar.
And eating unripe lychees may lead to brain inflammation or, in extreme cases, death. Inflammation just means things kind of puff out a little bit, and that's not good. That causes a lot of problems in your body, especially in your brain, so you don't want to have brain inflammation because you might get big headaches, you might have brain damage, who knows. Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion about lychees. Let's go on now to talk about stone fruits, or fruits that have a pit.
Stone fruits. These include peaches, cherries, plums, and apricots. While the fruits themselves are edible, their pits are poisonous, since they contain a chemical that breaks down into cyanide when eaten. This chemical is easily avoided, since stone pits are tough, and even if one were accidentally swallowed, it would pass through the digestive system whole. But if you were to eat a pit in, say, powdered form, it could cause serious health problems.
第二部分我们看到片语 break down into 加上名词，表示分解或是分成更小的单位。例如 Water can be broken down into hydrogen and oxygen if you pass electricity through it. 如果水经过电解，就会分解成氢跟氧。或是 Frank broke down the tent into several pieces before putting it in its storage bag. Frank 把帐篷分成好几部分，再放进收纳袋里。接着我们看到单字 accidentally， 这个字是副词，表示意外的、偶然的或是不小心的。像是 I took the wrong subway line, but accidentally found something interesting. 我搭错了地铁线路，但意外地发现了一些有趣的东西。也可以说 Chris accidentally dropped his phone into the toilet. Chris 不小心把他的手机掉进马桶里了。另外补充这个字的形容词 accidental. A-C-C-I-D-E-N-T-A-L accidental 指意外的或是偶然的。举例来说 Don't do your homework too quickly or else you'll make a lot of accidental mistakes. 作业不要写太快，否则你会犯很多意外的错误。或是 The discovery of the gold coins was entirely accidental. 金币的发现完全是偶然的。
Okay, so in this part of the lesson, we're talking about stone fruits, and these include peaches, cherries, plums, and apricots. And all of these different kinds of fruit have stones in them, or they're also called pits.
Among these fruits are some of my favorites. I really enjoy apricots, and plums are slightly larger than cherries. They're a deep red in color, and sometimes they're a little sour. And then apricots are orange and a little smaller than plums. And depending on how ripe they are, they can be sweet or a little sour. Both of them have a hard seed in the middle, and that is called a pit. And inside the pit, there are small quantities of cyanide. So inside the seed, inside the pit, even though it's quite hard, if you open that pit, there's a quantity of cyanide. So we usually don't eat the pit because that has the potential to be dangerous.
Right, so there's a chemical there, but that chemical will change its formation and break down into cyanide when eaten. I was told that there is a certain amount of cyanide in apple seeds, but a friend of mine told me, oh, no, you should go ahead and eat the whole apple, including the core and the seeds as well. But again, you should do your research before you do that. Don't take it from me. But in this particular case, some of these pits are poisonous because the chemical will break down into cyanide, and this chemical is easily avoided since stone pits are tough, and even if one were accidentally swallowed, it would pass through the digestive system whole. So yeah, if you're eating fruits with a stone pit, a pit in it like a peach or something, they're hard and they're tough, and most people probably wouldn't try to chew on them. And even if you accidentally swallow it, well, it would still just pass through your digestive system, and that cyanide would not end up in your system. So if something happens accidentally, it was not intended. You did not want that to happen. And that's true sometimes when you eat watermelon, for example. You sometimes swallow the seeds accidentally.
Yes, and as someone who gorges herself on watermelon, I know that it's very easy to accidentally swallow some of those seeds.
They're probably not too dangerous, though, because you're still with us here after years and years of eating watermelon there on hot summer days. But in any case, yes, indeed, if you accidentally swallow a pit from a peach or an apricot or whatever, it'll just pass through your digestive system in one piece, although it will probably be very painful when you sit on the stool there. But if you were to eat a pit in, say, powdered form, it could cause serious health problems. And I don't know if you'd really want to do that, after you eat your peach. Keep the pit, dry it out, and then grind it down into a powder. And if you eat that, well, that could cause serious health problems, so don't do that.
Yes, I was quite surprised when I went to the supermarket. I saw some powdered apricot seeds. So I guess there must be some health benefits, but I think don't eat them unless you've consulted a doctor.
Yeah, unless you really know what you're doing. I'm not going to take any chances with that. I'm just going to spit the pits right out onto the table or into the trash can. Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion about stone fruits. Now let's talk about star fruits, which of course are quite common here in good old Taiwan.
Star fruits. Another delicious yet potentially dangerous fruit, star fruits contain caramboxin. While this toxin can be processed without trouble by people with healthy kidneys, it can lead to vomiting, coma, or death in those with kidney disease.
第三部分我们看到单字 process， 这个字是动词，指处理或是加工，像是 The computer quickly processed the information， 电脑快速处理了资料，也可以说 Beth works for a company that processes wood to make pencils。 Beth 替一间将木头加工制成铅笔的公司工作。最后我们看到动词 vomit， 表示呕吐或是吐的意思。例如 The disgusting smell made the man vomit。 那股恶心的味道让那名男子呕吐。或者 Tim vomited several times after eating spoiled food。 Tim 因为吃了腐败的食物而吐了好几次。
Okay, now we're going to talk about star fruits. And again, this fruit is quite popular here in Taiwan. Although people have a love or hate relationship with it, you either love it or hate it. And, well, I can't say I hate it, but I don't particularly care for it.
Well, I'm on the opposite. I really do enjoy star fruit. And so far, I've been able to enjoy the star fruit without any health concerns. So that means that my kidneys must be healthy, since usually star fruits only really cause problems in people with unhealthy kidneys.
Okay, and remember we call it a star fruit because when you slice it into slices and turn it on its side, they look like stars. The slices look like stars. So, yes, it says it's another delicious yet potentially dangerous fruit. Star fruits contain caramboxin, which is a toxin, kind of chemical in star fruit. While this toxin can be processed without trouble by people with healthy kidneys, it can lead to vomiting, coma, or death in those with kidney disease. So, yes, indeed, the toxin can be processed by normal people who have healthy kidneys. So most of us don't need to worry about this. Here we've got the verb to process, which means you treat something through a continuous action with various steps involved, which basically means in this case you eat it, it gets digested in your stomach, it gets passed on to the intestines and into the bloodstream, and the body does various things to the star fruit, so it can be processed and you won't have trouble with it if you have normal, healthy kidneys.
Yeah, but in people who have kidney disease, the toxin wouldn't be able to be processed normally. So it wouldn't go through the stomach into the digestive tracts and then be filtered as waste through the kidneys. The kidneys would not be able to expel or get rid of it. So that would mean that those people with kidney disease would probably experience vomiting. Vomiting, the noun of vomit, or the act of throwing up, expelling what you've eaten before. So what went in cannot stay in. It has to come out.
Right. So you might vomit, for example, if you get seasick taking a boat out to Green Island or something like that. You might vomit or throw up. Vomit can also be a noun, which refers to that stuff that does come out of your mouth when you're throwing up, when you are regurgitating. So indeed, if you don't have healthy kidneys and the star fruit or the toxin in the star fruit is not processed properly without those kidneys, then it can cause vomiting. You might throw up, and it might lead to the state of coma, which means you're not conscious because you're sick, and sometimes people are in a coma for a very long time. Or in worst case scenario, it might lead to death, of course, if you have kidney disease. So I'm sure if you have problems with your kidney, your doctor is going to tell you to stay away from star fruit.
That's right. So if you have any health problems, you should probably talk to the doctor about foods that you should eat and foods that you should avoid, because some of these foods are not actually commonly known to have side effects. Until today, I didn't know about caramboxin.
I didn't know about that either, but it's a chemical term and it's in star fruit, so be careful if you've got kidney issues. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. It's time now to turn things over to Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分有一句写到 There's nothing like gorging on lychees on a hot summer day. 在炎炎夏日没有什么比大啖荔枝更棒的了。那这边要介绍的句型是 There's nothing like 名词或动名词，去表达没有什么比得上点点点，最好的莫过于点点点。那这个句型呢，是用来强调某人或某事物是最棒的，没有其他人事物可以比得上。我们也可以把它写成 nothing is like 名词或动名词。例如 There's nothing like a good cup of coffee in the morning. 没有什么比得上早上来一杯好喝的咖啡。顺便补充几个语义相近的句型。第一个补充的是 There is no better 名词 than 点点点，表示说没有什么什么什么比什么更好了。好，那这边就是用否定字词去搭配比较级来表达出最高级的语义，强调什么什么就是最好的点点点。举例来说 There's no better comfort food than ice cream. 冰淇淋是最佳疗愈食物。好，那么第二个补充的句型，你可以用 nothing is 形容词比较级 than 点点点。举例来说 Nothing is more relaxing than a massage after a long day at work. 没有什么比工作一整天之后去按摩更令人放松的了。意思就是说，工作一整天之后去按摩是最令人放松的。那么第三个补充的句型是 Nothing is as 形容词 as 点点点，这个呢是用否定字词搭配原级比较句型，同样可以表达出最高级的语义。像 Nothing is as important as health. 没有什么像健康一样重要，也就是说健康是最重要的。我们接着读到课文第二部分最后一句。But if you were to eat a pit in, say, powdered form, it could cause serious health problems. 不过万一你吃了好比说粉状的果核，它可能会导致严重的健康问题。那么句子里面的 say 是插入语，表示好比说或是例如的那种意思。而我们这边是要介绍 be 动词加 to 加原形动词，它可以表达将要怎么样，计划做什么什么。那我们这边用到 if 主词加上 be 动词 were 再加 to 再加原形动词，则是用来表达未来可能发生的假设情况，表示说如果怎么样，要是怎么样的话，那这通常是指未来发生几率很低或者是极不可能发生的状况。那这个句型会是 if 主词加上 were to 再加原形动词，逗号，主词加上 could, would, might 或是 should 再加原形动词。举例来说 If she were to quit her job and become a full-time housewife, she would definitely not be happy. 要是她辞掉工作成为全职家庭主妇的话，她一定不会开心的。好，那以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Poisonous. Stephanie got sick from eating a poisonous mushroom. Potentially. This contract could potentially make the company millions of dollars. Accidentally. Mike accidentally damaged his computer while replacing the hard drive. Process. Some people's bodies can't process the sugar in milk and other dairy products. Vomit. Kay came home to find that her dog had vomited on the kitchen floor.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I'm Candice.
See you next time.